2005, city planners of the late 20th century wanted the Bear Creek Greenway to be known for its scenic beauty, a breath of fresh air, so to speak, from the high-paced urban world. But in the last few years, the Greenway has become known for other things.
Keeping the stretch of land safe and healthy costs a lot of money. As NBC5's Amanda Rose showed us in her exclusive report last night, it adds up to more than $315,000 coming from taxpayers' pockets each year. And tonight, Amanda is looking at how fires sparking on the Greenway are an all too common occurrence, and they've also proven to be deadly. But fire agencies don't put out every fire that sparks on the Greenway. Why may surprise you.
I thought the house was going to catch on fire, so I grabbed a couple things like my wallet and a couple pairs of clothes and stuff.
Last year's Penninger fire is etched in many memories.
My husband was calling me saying that we're trying to get everything out. They're telling us we're going to have to evacuate. The fire's headed for us. It jumped the creek.
The 100-acre fire sparked on the Greenway on July 17th.
Came up to the edge of the Greenway back here behind the Family Fun Center and back across here.
Within minutes, it edged close to many Central Point homes. None were lost, but one man died.
We know that he had been living on the Greenway, and the place where he died was in the middle of the fire area, so it had overcome him.
Sergeant Julie Denny of the Jackson County Sheriff's Office says on routine sweeps of the Greenway, deputies encounter a number of fire pits and illegal camps. Sometimes there are 20 to 30 camps per sweep.
They will use them for cooking, they'll use them for staying warm.
They're cooking. That's what they're doing. They're figuring out ways to cook their food, and unfortunately sometimes fires get away from them.
A few years ago, Helen Funk remembers seeing flames by the Jackson County Expo the night before the fair was set to begin.
Just over this berm on fire. That's not a great feeling to have when you're getting ready to throw a party for 80,000 people.
Funk says in the 4 years she's been director of the Expo, they've called in a half a dozen fires.
I think most of us only think of the summer because that's when we see the major wildfires and we look at the smoke, but these folks they're doing their campfires all year round.
With close to 90% of fires in Oregon listed as human cause, the Greenway is an area fire agencies watch closely.
There is so much activity on it, it's such a long stretch of land, and there's so much flammable fuel surrounding it.
Although the Penninger fire is still under investigation, Fire District 3's Ashley Blakely says it sparked near a transient camp on the Greenway.
And we evacuated hundreds of people, shut down a main thoroughfare to our international airport, people getting to and from home, to and from work.
Since 2012, she says the agency's had roughly 49 calls about fires sparking on the Greenway. And because of all the trees, brush, and narrow spaces, access can be a challenge.
Crews have used bladder bags to get into some of those smaller fires where they can put the fire out quickly with just a small amount of water.
That can mean the difference between a fire being knocked down in a minute or two upon arrival to 10 to 15, depending on the location and accessibility.
Medford Emergency Manager Melissa Cano says Medford Fire Rescue has responded to nearly 200 incidents on the Greenway since 2012.
There's been an increase of fires on the Greenway in the past few years.
And according to the data, nearly 60% of the responses were fires started by transients. But Cano says there were likely more that they never sent a truck to.
It's difficult because it depends on, is that cooking fire or is that fire that maybe keeping someone warm at night? Is it happening in the middle of fire season, or is it happening in the winter months where someone maybe can possibly freeze to death?
The calls agencies respond to on the Greenway also vary, from the predictable to the peculiar. A log of calls from the Medford Police Department in 2018 include things like transients lighting a fire behind a school, under a bridge, and setting fire to shoes. Since 2012, there have been 233 fires on the Greenway. That's an average of nearly 30 fires every year, and we're only halfway through this year.
I have a new respect for fire, though, and a real compassion for Hornbrook and just anyone who's had to deal with it, because it's terrifying. It's really scary.
Coming up in part 3 of this exclusive report, where some of the trash on the Greenway ends up.
Bacteria levels in Bear Creek is an issue.
And why it's costing thousands of dollars to clean up. That's tomorrow on NBC5 News.